Welcome to the channel, I'm Davey Moans. And for the first time I'll be starting a series of videos. I'll be platinuming each of the games in the Jak and Daxter series. There are 6 games in this series and the only one I played back in the day was Jak X, so I'm basically a complete noob to the franchise. In this video I'll be earning all the trophies in the first game, Jak and Daxter: The Precursor Legacy. This game has 25 trophies to earn. Technically only 1 trophy is from story progress, and that's for beating the game. There are 17 trophies for collectibles and 7 miscellaneous trophies. The game has 8 bronze trophies, 10 silvers, and 7 golds to earn, which is a pretty rare balance to see.
A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
The hardest trophy in the game is called Let's See Samus Do Better. It's for beating a race in under 40 seconds. The PS5 version of the game that I'll be playing in this video has the rewind function, so this wasn't as hard as it could have been. If you enjoyed the video, hit that subscribe button. Now let's get started. So I said I hadn't played this game before, but
I lied.
I played the PS Vita version a little bit in 2015, but I don't remember anything. For example, I had completely forgotten that Daxter was a human at the very beginning.
Oh my goodness!
In the opening cutscene, Jak, and not quite Daxter, sneak onto Misty Island and conveniently overhear the main villains. They order their minions to search for eco, basically magic energy in these games. I gotta say, some of the character designs in this game are, really something.
Brother,
From there, the game cuts to Jak and Daxter finding a pool of dark eco, and this is where Daxter gets knocked in and transformed into the Daxter we all know and love. Or hate, you know, whatever. We return home and the Green Sage tells us a sage named Gaul was the only person that can reverse Daxter's transformation.
Gaul Acheron, the sage, but he lives far to the north.
To reach him, we have to head through Lava Canyon, and luckily the sage's daughter can get us through if we find enough power cells.
All I would need is 20 power cells to give it enough energy to withstand the canyon's heat.
We head to Geyser Rock for a tutorial, and unfortunately one of the first things I notice is that the camera is inverted. I really don't get why old game devs thought this was the right thing to do. I figure out some more of the controls and pick up the first of many precursor orbs. I will need all 2,000 of these for the platinum. Most of them are out in the open and somewhat serve as a guide through each level, but there are some that'll be harder to find later. Next we grab the first power cell. At points in the game you'll need a certain number of these to progress, but I have to get them all for the platinum anyways. And right after that is a red crate that contains a scout fly. There are 7 of these in most levels, and finding all of them gives you a power cell. That done, I'm free to continue exploring the island, and I find the rest of the precursor orbs. Getting all the power cells in each level earns a trophy, and here we get the first of those. We return to the sage's hut, and he wants us to unclog his eco collectors at the beach. I make a stop to talk to Kira, and she gives us some sound dating advice.
Rule number 1, I don't date animals. Write that down, write that down!
And also points us towards the Forbidden Temple to turn on the eco
The
vents.
pipeline back to the Forbidden Temple.
We are currently in Sandover Village, and it has its own collectibles to grab. I got some of them now, but most of the power cells require you to buy them from the locals.
Would you be kind enough to loan your dear old uncle 90 precursor orbs?
Without much more to do here, I make my way to Sentinel Beach. In this level, I open up the green eco vents for the sage to get one of the power cells, and I went on to collect most of the other stuff, including these underwater orbs, but I ended up 1 power cell short. I figured it had something to do with this cannon, but after becoming fish food, I found this inactive blue eco vent. I didn't see any way to get it on, so I ended up looking it up, and it turns out I'll have to come back later once I turn on the blue eco vents in a different area. So with Sentinel Beach done for now, I went back to the village. I grabbed a few things on the way through, but I found my way to the Forbidden Jungle. I ran into the snake from Jungle Book and the log traps from Star Wars, unfortunately literally. I used blue eco to raise a bridge and activate platforms inside this tower, and that leads us up to the top where I can find a power cell, but more importantly an elevator takes us down to another power cell and a switch that turns on all the blue eco vents. On the way out we have the first boss fight.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
It's pretty straightforward to dodge and you have to hit the plant 3 times, but it does cough up another power cell for us.
Wow.
I left the room after this, which ends up being a mistake because I missed some of the hidden orbs. After that, the main thing to do here is connect eco beams. While doing that, I find a fishing minigame with dog shit net sensitivity.
Fuck.
And then I decide to go for a trophy in this area. It's called Jak Be Nimble, and I have to reach the top of the temple without running out of blue eco. For this, you start with a full eco gauge and have to race up the temple. The annoying part is the moving platforms being out of sync with you. This time I did make it to the top, but the last set of platforms had other plans.
We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
But at least my next attempt succeeds, and damn, it was lucky because I messed that jump up. After that, I finished up the beams, but was still missing 4 orbs in this level. And to be honest, I think these orbs could have made Anne Frank jealous with their hiding skills, because to get these I had to go back to the plant boss and jump on its head to get them out. With my new power cells from here, I can cross Fire Canyon. Kira gives us a speeder to use and lets us know we'll have to keep its temperature down as we make it across. And during this cutscene I had an epiphany. I remembered that this game has the PS Premium Rewind feature.
Oh boy, yeah.
This section is pretty linear, it's all about collecting scout flies, orbs, and water balloons, and when I drive off the side and die, it isn't even a problem anymore.
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
I got all the scout flies easy enough and all the orbs right after that, which is also the end of the canyon, which gives us the only other power cell here, so I get the trophy for this section. At the end of the canyon, I enter into Rock Village. Here we see that the blue sage is in his hut and that the village is under attack. Kira points out a machine that will clear the rocks, but we need more power cells for it, so we head into the village to find some. Rock Village is similar to Sandover Village in that we have to buy most of the power cells after completing nearby levels. Before doing any of that, I go for the "Those Are Our Supplies Jack" trophy. It's for breaking 15 boxes in Rock Village. There are a couple spots that had boxes, and there were more than 15, but that's the trophy. I went in the Precursor Basin first, and this entire section is done on a speeder. Navigating this area is a bit confusing at first as there's stuff pulling you in every direction, so I just started with picking up orbs and scout flies. The handling of this thing isn't very good, so I sure hope this doesn't become a major mechanic in the sequel. I had a little trouble getting some of the orbs, but I had to rewind, so it wasn't too bad to adjust. I got all the orbs while chasing whatever this thing is, I don't know, Fat Spyro? But then the last thing to do here is beat the record time on the gorge. This is an actual racetrack, separate from the area all the other stuff was in, and beating the record of 45 seconds is pretty easy. I am gonna have to come back here again soon when I realize that there's a trophy for beating it in under 40 seconds, which is more difficult. But for right now, I thought I was done here, so I went back to Rock Village and got 2 power cells from villagers, giving me the trophy for Precursor Basin. The next level attached to Rock Village is the Boggy Swamp, but when I got here I checked the trophy list and realized I had missed 2 trophies so far. So I turned around and went back to Precursor Basin to beat the race in under 40 seconds. Now the rewind feature here was huge, otherwise this could have taken a while. It's still pretty tight, but the key is to ramp off of this enemy and take this route here to the end. It took a few tries, mostly because he moves around a lot.
Stop moving.
But taking that path gives me the trophy. The other trophy I missed requires you to make it through the tutorial level in 12 jumps or less. So at first I figured I'd just give it a try without any guides, but I immediately used 4 jumps, so that's not gonna fucking work. So I looked up ways to do this. And it's a good thing I did, because I learned some strats like the high jump to keep my numbers down. The approach I ended up taking had me swim around the island to save a few jumps, and then use uppercuts since they don't count as jumps. There's still some places where you have to use long jumps or high jumps, but using the uppercuts I reached the end and got the trophy. So now that I was caught up, I returned to the Boggy Swamp. This area introduces us to Yellow Eco. It took me some time to figure out what it does, even though Daxter says it.
Wow! You can shoot fireballs!
I was, distracted. A lot of the orbs in this level are in crates that can only be busted by Yellow Eco, and there are also a shitload of rats to complicate things. The main goal here is to destroy 4 rocks anchoring a ship overhead.
What about the Orb of Confusion?
And this is where I figured out what Yellow Eco does.
Finally! The rock!
Destroying the last tether gets me all of the power cells, and I was able to clean up the last of the orbs. Since I had a decent amount of orbs, I backtracked again to get all the power cells from the previous areas. First, I talked to the guy who wanted me to connect those beams in the Forbidden Jungle, and he gave me a power cell, which gave me the Jungle's trophy. After that, I went back to Sentinel Beach to finish that up. I'm able to do that now because I turned on the blue eco vents. With those on, I can reach this cannon to get the last power cell I need and use it to open up an orb crate to get some of the last orbs. And by using the blue eco, I can reveal the rest I'm missing to completely finish this area. Not too long after that, I find the last scout fly and orbs in the village to finish that area too. And I also have access to this boat from that fisherman now, and it takes me across the water to Misty Island. This is where the opening of the game took place, so let's hope there's still some baddies around.
That's why I'm here.
Well, according to the town sculptor,
It's a little glowing squirrel full of spunk. You what?
there's one now. We have to chase this muse all over the place, but I eventually catch the little shit. Aside from that, this level has some pretty classic platformer sections and a decent amount of stuff to grab from a motorbike. Maneuvering this thing on the scaffolding to try and get these few orbs was a bit of a pain though.
Son of a bitch!
I really hope this doesn't become a large feature in the sequel. But I got everything I needed on the lake. After that, I had to use a couple of blue eco pickups in a row to reach the last of the precursor orbs. Then all I had to do was return the muse to the sculptor. I returned to Rock Village and bought the rest of the power cells there for a trophy, and continued on to my only available level, the Lost Precursor City. This level is pretty unique as it has lots of moving platforms and uses water obstacles that turn into traps throughout. This level also has a miscellaneous trophy. There are 2 slides here and I have to break all of the eco crates on each. This isn't too bad. The slides also have orb crates to break and the trophy pops before the second slide ends. After that, the slide closes up and we have to escape from the flooding room. The camera for this part sucks.
Holy God, what are you showing me?
Like seriously, you couldn't have backed it up a bit? You legit cannot see where you're going sometimes. I had to go back in to clean some things up. And doing that left me 1 power cell short. The last power cell was outside the city, so I made my way to the exit to grab it. Now with all of these power cells, I can talk to Kira about powering up the Blue Sage's contraption.
Or to lift that boulder.
The path up the mountain gets cleared for Jak, and this leads to a fight with a giant lurker. Alright, hero time.
Brother!
This fight has 2 parts. 1, avoid his attacks while on these 3 platforms.
He's just standing there, menacingly.
And then get up to the yellow eco and shoot him. I for some reason forgot how yellow eco works again, so I stood around like a jackass and wasted this opportunity to damage him. After that, I remembered how to play the game, and these 2 cycles just repeat 3 times. We of course get a power cell for beating him, but that was only the first part of Mountain Pass. The next part consists of racing some lurkers to the end to stop them from blowing the place up. I'm obviously focused on getting the collectibles, so I don't beat them to the end at first.
What the fuck?
But the second time focusing just on speed, this wasn't hard.
We did it!
Holy shit though, dude, some basic ass controls while driving are so wonky in this game. I sure hope the devs don't make this a huge part of the next game. I don't get the Mountain Pass trophy yet, as I'll have to come back later once I turn on the yellow eco jets. The next hub is the volcanic crater, and we teleport Kira and the green sage over. But we get interrupted by the main baddies.
Certainly not.
I get it!
They tell us their plans to use Dark Eco for some reason, and to Daxter's dismay, it turns out Gull, the guy we were looking for, is the main villain. We get a new objective to reach their citadel, and for this,
A few more power cells and you're
we're gonna need more power cells. The volcanic crater has more of the same collectibles, and the first level I entered from it is the Spider Cave. This place has 2 main chambers, and in the first we have to use this game's aim mechanics that aged about as well as the average politician to shoot all of the centipedes. They drop orbs, and getting all of them gives me another power cell. The other main chamber is pretty annoying, to be honest. There's a shitload of things to grab, and you need to retrace your steps all over these platforms to get everything. For example, when I jump between these bars, I miss an orb that's off-screen, but I don't know that until I look back from across the platforms. There's this inactive eco vent that I'll have to come back for later anyways, so I got what I could for now and went back to the crater to see what other levels were available. This ski lift obviously goes somewhere, and that place is Snowy Mountain. The main challenge throughout this level is to trigger all of these switches. They have a barrier you need to jump over, and this is just the first one, but there are a lot more on icy surfaces, making jumping over the barrier a bit of a challenge. Aside from those, I'm also able to turn on the yellow eco vents in this place. And my biggest issue here was finding the last scout fly. I'd been everywhere on this level, so I ended up looking it up, and it was right at the beginning. That gives me the trophy for this area, so I head back down the mountain. With the yellow eco vents on, I went back to Mountain Pass. I needed to use this vent here to clear out a secret path. And after shooting it open, I put on an absolute masterclass of driving in this game.
I can't see!
Man, I'm glad this is just a small mechanic I can laugh about, not a constant annoyance. Anyways, second time's the charm, and grabbing the power cell finishes this area. I returned to the volcanic crater and bought all the power cells I could, but I was still 1 short for this area. I had also been all over this place, so I looked up where it was, and this one's actually very well hidden. There's no way I would have found this. There's a hidden crate in this crater holding the power cell, but to open it up, you have to go into the spider cave. And not just a step or 2 inside, like balls deep into the spider cave. All the way up to this yellow eco vent, and then you have to run back in time to shoot the crate. And I'll talk about my biggest technical issue with the game now, and that would be misinputs. Specifically trying to double jump. I promise you I'm pressing X twice to double jump in between each of these rocks. It happens all throughout the game, but it was particularly annoying here because it was slowing me down. I didn't make it in time, but using rewind and a different jumping strategy, I made it just in time to get the trophy. I still had a little cleanup to do in the spider cave, so I went back in. With the yellow eco vents on, I was able to get the last of the orbs, and I got the last scout fly for this trophy. At this point, I have more than enough power cells to progress in all of the trophies to this point, so I move forward into the lava tube. This is another short vehicle section, and this level has a trophy for hitting 25 cooling balloons without dying. About halfway through the level is a circular room with lots of water balloons, and that's where I got the trophy. And with that done, I got all the scout flies and reached the end to get the only other power cell for this level. I activate another portal at the end for Kira and the Green Sage, but uh-oh, it looks like the Green Sage was kidnapped by Gaul and Maya.
It should have been me, not him!
Kira asked us to save her father, and we're on to the last level. But first, I missed a few orbs in the lava tube, so I go back. And now on to Gaul and Maya's Citadel. This level is all about freeing the 4 captured sages. To free each of them, you have to complete some sort of puzzle or challenge. None of them are too bad, and first up's the blue sage. In my opinion, my favorite obstacle here is all the color-coded bridges that collapse based on what color you step on. I saved the yellow and red sages next. On the way to save the green sage, I grabbed the rest of the orbs in this area. And I thought that was all 2,000, so I was expecting the trophy now. But upon further review, I was missing some in Rock Village. So, fuck. I was hoping to get the plat as I beat the game, but I guess I'll have to wrap these up after. Right after that, I free the green sage to get all the power cells in the Citadel. With the sages free, Gaul and Maya get into a giant robot, and I take an elevator up to stop them. There's one last miscellaneous trophy to earn, and all I have to do is look back towards where the game started. The final boss fight is all about using yellow eco to damage the boss while you avoid its attacks, and then using blue eco to jump after each phase to avoid a missile attack. That's really it. Sometimes other enemies will appear, but the fight's not too hard. A few yellow eco pickups later, and that's the game. Jak uses some magical white eco that forms to go Super Saiyan and destroy the robot, giving me the last story trophy. I have to backtrack to the teleporter in the lava tube to get to Rock Village, and I knew exactly where these orbs would be. When I was here, I thought these were inaccessible and I'd have to come back later, so I forgot about them. But really, you just have to run this route to chain together enough blue eco to reach the orbs. Grabbing those gives me all 2,000 and the last trophy, followed by the platinum. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts on this game down in the comments, and subscribe to see me take on Jak 2 in my next video. Spoiler? I fucking hate that game.
Is that it? I think so.